Hello, Power Up Nation. I'm Pat Council, and on Designing Your Life today, we're going to talk about clearing a path for better achievement. If you want to get better results, you have to clear a path to make it happen. So, as we continue on with our Summer Success series, I'm sharing information that will help you to get back on track and stay on track until the end. And don't worry, as we progress along with our Summer Success series, we've got some great things that are coming up for you to download, and you can use them over and over. But first, let's continue to set the tone by laying the proper groundwork for your achievement. If you have stifled, if you're having some challenges when it comes to achieving your goals, sometimes you have to remember to put first things first. So what would be first when it comes to achieving your goals? Of course, you've set the goal and you do have a plan of action, right? If not, stick with us. In time, we're going to give you what you need to develop a plan of action. But if you're in a hurry, you can order a copy of my book, High Impact Power Goal Setting, and it walks you through everything to include dealing with your finances. Okay, so let's talk about clearing a path for better achievement. When I said put first things first, think about when you first wake up in the morning. What do you think about? What's on your mind? When you open your eyes and you look around, let's say in your bedroom, is it nice and clean? Is it neat and orderly? Do you wake up and you breathe in and go, this is going to be a beautiful day? Or do you wake up with feelings of anxiety? And you're already stressed out because you're thinking about what you need to get done that you didn't get done yesterday or the day before that or the day before that. And what is that? What am I saying? What I'm saying is there comes a time when you must bring order to your life. If your life lacks order, then your purpose remains buried underneath that chaos. Not just your purpose, but even the activities that you have to do on a daily basis so that you can achieve the goals that you set at this point in time, whether they're connected to your purpose or not. You will only go so far if things are out of order. And so the best thing to do is to figure out where are things out of order. I remember once there was still is a good friend of mine, and she had a car, and she doesn't have it anymore, but she had a car, and the car was always so junky. There was always things on the floor, fast food wrappers and these kinds of things. And she would always say, you know what? I have to clean my car out. Well, you know what? Years before that, and I shared this story before, I learned what it meant to make sure that things were in order. Of course, in the military, when I was in the military, everything had to be in order. Your socks, everything had a place. You could get dressed quickly. There was actually less stress, even though we had to get up a lot earlier. But once I left the military, for a little while, things got out of order. And I told this story before, and I had a 2-bedroom apartment at the time. And one of the bedrooms was kind of like my junk room. In other words, if I had books or whatever it is I was dealing with, I threw it in that room and I kept that door closed. Of course, the rest of the apartment looked amazing, but there was that junky room. And I didn't realize how much that was affecting my success and actually my focus until one of my friends came along and cleaned up the room for me. She said, you know what? I'm so tired of walking past this door. When I come and visit you, I walk past this door and I know that behind this door, there's a bunch of junk. She put everything in order. It was so clean. It was so orderly. And you know what? All of a sudden, I felt lighter. I felt better. I got clarity. I could think better. And I was excited to get up the next day knowing that I had this apartment that was completely clean and completely in order. Now back to the friend with the car. She had this car and she wanted a new car. And it was so junky. And I can tell you guys, whenever I've wanted something new, or even since that time, I understood the power of making sure that things were clean and that things were in order. Well, she would always keep it so junky. And I finally said to her, you know what? You will never get a new car unless you take care of the car that you have. Now, I didn't learn that, let's say, from the friend who cleaned up my apartment that time, but I did learn it through studying about what it takes to achieve, that things must be in order. Because when things are out of order, you have what's called false starts. In other words, you get up and that particular day, let's say on a Monday, you work very hard, you get things done. And then on a Tuesday, because things are now out of order, you get very little done because your focus is off. So it's important that you have that kind of order. The other thing is, as I said in the beginning, if your life lacks order, your purpose, it's going to remain buried underneath the chaos. Things will come to you. Answers come. Success comes when there is a clear path. The Bible tells us that God is not the author of confusion. And as human beings, we are designed for clarity. We're not designed for chaos. That's why it doesn't feel good. That's why everything seems to stop. Nothing moves forward. And then clutter starts to pile up because we are designed for clarity. We're also designed for direction. So the object of the game here is to force yourself to organize your life. And so when I talk about organizing your life and clearing a path for better achievement, I'm not just talking about cleaning up your physical space. Now, if you have a junky apartment or a junky house or things are out of order, it is important that you take the time to clean up that space. Because here's the thing, when you clear a path, then you're going to move a lot faster and actually your confidence will go up. So what areas of your life do you need to clear a path? Where's the clutter in your life? Is it the physical clutter in your living space, your environment? And for those of you who are listening to this because you want to transition from a job to entrepreneurship, is your desk junky? I've heard people say, I work better with a junky desk because I know where everything is. What they don't realize is that if they actually took the time to measure how much work they got done, let's say over the course of 2 days, they would realize they didn't get as much done as they thought. And then if they cleaned the area, organized everything, and measured the time over the course of those same 2 days, they would realize that they got a lot more done. So where do you need to clear that path? As I said, the physical area, your physical environment, but there's also your mental environment, a lot of mental clutter. Some of the areas that can cause mental clutter in our lives would be actually not being able to communicate effectively. When we hold on to things because it bothers us or we wish we could talk to a person about something and we're more concerned about how it's going to affect them as opposed to how it's affecting us, then we create not just mental clutter, but we also create emotional clutter. This prevents us from clearing a path. I can tell you, I had a conversation with someone and I thought that I was kind of coming up on the short end of the stick. I was doing more for this person to help this person win in their business. And then when I asked them to do one simple thing to help me in my business, they rushed through it and did a lackluster job. They put almost no effort into it. And it was only that one thing. And I had done things for them over the course of several months. Well, I kept it to myself for a while. And then at some point I realized, you know what? Why am I thinking more about this person and their feelings than I am about my own feelings? So I thought I'll have a conversation with them. And the first thing they thought was that, oh, well, I'm sorry if you're upset or if you're angry. And I explained to them, no, I'm not angry. I'm just sharing with you a feeling, and I'm sharing with you how I feel about this situation. The point that I'm making is if you're holding on to those kinds of things, you don't have a clear path for achievement. This is taking up some of your energy. This is taking up space in your mind. This is taking up space in your emotions, and it doesn't need to be there because it's not that deep. Now, I wasn't angry and I wasn't upset, but I did want to acknowledge the situation and explain that I wasn't going to do any more for that person because they took took the thing that I asked them to do, and they didn't give it any, let's say, the respect that I thought it deserved or the attention I thought it deserved. And so with that being said, it wasn't about being angry. It was about me clearing a path and making sure I wasn't holding on to something. And then 5 years from now, I'm still holding on to this thing. And it's as though, it's kind of like if someone treats us poorly. We go into a business and they treat us poorly. So what do? You go out and you tell 3 other people or your friends, and then you might tell 3 more. And then a year from now, you're bringing it up. Oh, I'm never going back to that place. If someone mentions the place, you mention that bad experience. Why? Because you didn't address it. So where do you need to clear a path? Think about that. Emotional, mental, even physically. Okay, what kind of energy do you need to burn so that you can, let's say, clear path for new energy and be refreshed? So we're talking about exercising. Anything that is stopping you from achieving your goals, here's the beautiful part. Because you set the goal, because it meant something to you, anything that's stopping you, you can actually clear that path. You can actually move that obstacle or go around that obstacle or over it. But either way, you can get beyond that obstacle so that you can get back on track. Sometimes we slow down when it comes to achieving our goals because we allow things like clutter in various areas of our life to hold us back. What unresolved issues do you have? You want to address those issues. Either address the issue directly with the person or make a decision that you're going to let it go and move on from there, or write it in your journal and write a solution in the journal. Don't just write the unpleasant incident or whatever is bothering you in your journal and leave it open-ended. Write a solution such as, well, I forgive that person, or I'm going to let this go because I have more important things to put my attention on. And I have to make sure that I stay on track with my calling. And then close the book on it. Let it go. Here's the thing about bringing that kind of order to your life is that whatever it is you desire, the thing that you been wishing for and you finally turned it into a goal and you're ready to achieve it, you've been praying for it, whatever that thing is, it requires a level of structure for you to stay on course until you achieve that goal. So with that being said, here is our task for today. And this might take a few days, you guys, but we're still going to keep sharing information with you for the Summer Success Series so you can really start paying attention to what's holding you back. And you have to be very open and honest with yourself, not in a critical way, but in a way that you're coming from a position of awareness, and you're also going to acknowledge what needs to change. So here is your challenge for today. And as I said, this one might take a couple of days. First of all, take a few minutes and make a list of what's stopping you. What areas in your life do you need to clear up or clean up? Where do you need to clear a path? What is taking your energy and stopping you from excelling. Now, I want to share this with you so you can kind of understand what kind of a list you're making. As I said, I mentioned the physical environment, and I mentioned your person, your physical person, as far as stopping your own energy because you don't exercise or because you're just sedentary. I mentioned that. I mentioned mental and emotional clutter that you allow to linger. Now, here's the thing I want you to understand about allowing this kind of clutter to linger. For example, if you're hanging around if you've been saying, you know what, I tolerate this person as a friend because they don't have any friends, or because I sometimes want someone to talk to. You're not doing them any favors, and you're not doing yourself any favors. And if your goals are much higher than the goals that they've set, if you're going to a higher level, now this doesn't mean that you toss away all your friends just because the goals aren't on the same level. But we're talking about perhaps a friend who might bring a lot of negativity to the table, or they're just sucking away your energy, sucking the life out of you like a vampire, and you are actually allowing them to do this. That is a form of clutter in your life, because on some level, it is, first of all, it's ciphering off your energy. It is slowing you down, and it is causing you to settle. When we settle, we're not happy. And when we're not happy, our energy goes low. When our energy is low, we don't achieve anything. People sometimes think that it's okay to sit around and talk about everything that's wrong in their lives. Well, it's not. Sometimes you want to just sit down and do some of your own thinking, take a few deep breaths, and decide, what can I do? What course of action can I take? And if you can't figure it out, then you start to seek help. But there's a time when we have to take responsibility for the outcome of our lives once we are aware of what's causing the problem. That doesn't mean that we're always going to know the answer. The point that I'm making here is, whatever your situation is, you want to look to see what situations in your life are ciphering off your energy, that's taking your energy away, that's making you tired, draining you. And even things around you, lots of clutter around you, physical clutter, I don't know, books, clothes, or whatever. Those things can drain you. Okay. If you have a desk that's junky, it drains you. If you have things in your home that need to be repaired and you're not getting them repaired, it takes up a space in your mind. And so it drains you. And so you have to decide, and you say, well, I can't afford to get it fixed. Well, if you can't afford to get it fixed, then you have to close the book on it. Remember, close the book and stop it from taking your energy at that point in time. But use the most important part, one of the most important gifts that we have, and that's your imagination, to imagine that you have a brand new working thing, whatever this thing might be. So with that being said, the challenge is to make that list. Make the list, first of all, then set a date that you're going to take action. If you're going to, let's say, clean up, if you have to clean up your living space, or if you have to clean out your car, set a date that you're going to do this. If it's your living space, of course, that's more than one room. So you want to put a date that you're going to, let's say, I don't know, clean your family room or your bedroom, and it depends on how many bedrooms you have. Set a date, and you're going to work on a particular day. Let's say on a Monday, you're going to work on this bedroom all day until it's clean. And let's just hope doesn't take all day. It's not that junky. But I'm kind of chuckling, and I'm not laughing at you, but I'm imagining what that would entail. So with that being said, put some dates to these things. Okay. And then the third thing is take action. Now, don't space these dates out until 2 weeks from now. Okay. Because you're making excuses for something else that you have to do, which is a form of creative avoidance. And you don't have to do that. So set a date, get to work immediately. The faster you start to work on things and get things done, your energy goes up. You feel better about yourself. And even if this involves you making a promise to yourself, let's say that you're going to clean your kitchen and you're going to wash your dishes and you're not going to let your sink pile up with dishes. And so with your car, set a date that you're going to clean your car out. I kind of clean my car as I go, and I'm talking about the interior. In other words, I have like one sweater or jacket in my car in case like I'm in a bookstore and it gets cold. But other than that, I don't keep junk in my car. And I have one reusable shopping bag in my car. And that's the only thing that I have in my car. I don't put things in the little cup holders and stuff like that. And sometimes if I stop for gas and I put the receipt in there, you know what? I take it out. So you kind of clean as you go. But the point that I'm making is if you want to achieve, you have to clear a path for achievement. That way, in the back of your mind, you're not thinking about all of the things that need to be done. You're not thinking about all of the things that are taking space in your life. You're not thinking about all of, let's say, the people that, you're annoyed with, or things that you didn't address and things that you didn't deal with. Write those things down. You don't have to hold back and make a decision. You're either going to let it go or you're going to clean it up. So when it comes to achievement and moving forward, as you probably figured out by now, there's more to it than just getting, a bunch of hacks, as they're called, for you to stay on track. Okay, if you do a little bit each time, then you'll achieve the goal. Now, there is some truth to that. However, if you are bogged down with so much, chances of you doing a little bit at a time each day, it is slim to none, because your energy is just not going to be there. With that being said, that's all we have for you today. And as I said, coming up, we're going to have some downloads for you, and you can go and download these things and perhaps put them in a binder and keep them and use them so that you can finish this year strong. But for now, these are all hands-on things that you can do. With that being said, I guess I'll stop talking so that you guys can get to work. And in the meantime, I want you to do life with power, knowing that you're built by design to win.